welcome to Finextra TV. I'm Hannah Wallace, and we're here at the Merchants Payments Ecosystem 2020 in Berlin. Kindly joining me now in the studio is Adven de Poel from Bank of America. Hello, Ad, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to be talking about innovations and what you're doing at Bank of America. Before we do, to sort of set the scene for us, what trends and innovations are we seeing, especially this year?
Well, I think there's a lot going on in the payment space. There's a lot of trends and innovation. Just to call out a few, one is obviously open banking, which is triggered by the regulation, by PSD2. So there is actually innovation in regulation. And this open banking thing is quite amazing, even though it's not yet that visible, because it's still in, people are still developing, and banks and third-party providers, fintechs are still introducing their proposition to the market. But over time, open banking will really change the payment infrastructure, and I'm not the only one believing that. And it'll go way beyond what people are thinking about now. It'll become much more integrated in people's and in corporate and merchants' core processes. So open banking is a key one. Real-time payments is another one. Not just a real-time message of the payment, but actually the movement of the money as well, real-time. And the interesting, of course, about real-time payments, if somebody pays you real-time, they expect in return the servers to be real-time as well. So doing real-time payments is not just about the payment, it's about the whole proposition around it that then becomes real time, which is really exciting. And then the third one obviously is data, and there's a lot of talk about data, but just to take it to the payment side, a very interesting thing is that all the clearing and settlement mechanisms in Europe and SWIFT are all moving to the new XML ISO 20022 standard, and that will allow for a lot more data to be flowing from A to B. And so all that data will then help businesses and banks improve their proposition. It will help the regulator making the transaction more transparent. And of course, there's a lot of operational benefit at the end of that as well. So there's loads of things going on in our industry today.
So those are sort of the trends and the benefits, exciting things happening. But also with that come some challenges. At what point do you think the cost of compliance outweighs the value of innovation?
Well, it never does really, because you always have to A, protect your client, B, protect your own organization, right? So all the regulation is there to either make the transaction more transparent, to protect the players in the market, and to prevent fraudulent activity, right? So we always have to be compliant. It is extremely important, and as technology improves and as innovation comes into the market, there will be a need to become compliant in that new technology. So it's a constant thing. You can't avoid it, and we never should.
All right, and coming to Bank of America then, how are you innovating your payments business?
Well, we're very customer driven, so our innovation is very driven based on customer demand, and we do it in a very iterative and collaborative way together with a group of clients, and we select let's say innovations or ideas that are in the near future, not 10 years ahead, not today, but into the near future that we know clients need. And then we often build out a proof of concept mode to see if it really is successful before we go into a massive production situation. And in those proof of concept, we often either work with fintechs to collaborate with them together with the client, or we actually develop these things ourselves. I mean, as a technology organization, we do innovate quite a lot. The Bank of America has more than 3,200 patents, right? Innovation patents. And more than 100 of those, for example, are in the blockchain / distributed ledger technology area. So we do a lot of innovating ourselves. We don't always have to rely on fintechs to innovate, but we find that combination what works.
All right, and how do you go about unlocking all this precious payment data then for your clients?
That is a very good one and a very tough one, to be honest, because it starts with the quality of the data, right? And by the way, this is not just a bank thing. This is in every industry. We have loads of data about ourselves, about the transactions, about the clients, but they're spread out in different systems. So we first need to improve the quality of the data. That is what Bank of America has been investing in over the last few years. And we're now getting to that point where we feel very comfortable with the quality of the data. And now it's about what can we give back to our clients, right? To improve their business. And it starts simple with helping them improve their operational excellence, really, by improving the number of transactions that don't need repair, for example, they're all good payments, increasing their straight-through processing ratio. But it will start moving into more strategic value as well on the forecasting side, or maybe some information on their clients, especially when they're consumer clients. But at the same time, coming back to the compliance question earlier, we need to make sure it's in line with all the rules and regulation. Not just in line with it, but also we want to make sure it only feeds back to our clients and nobody else.
Sure.
Right?
Right. Well, following on from that quite nicely then, and on the point of strategy, as banks focus more on delivering innovations, why is it so critical that you give strategic advice to your clients?
Yes, no, it's a very good point. All this technology development, all these new innovations are great. And actually a lot of them, for example, going back to data and artificial intelligence, AI, the first step of that innovation is improving simple process steps, right? And that's great. They're operational process that helps them. And that allows both our clients and ourselves to think more strategically, or how do you then use that new technology? How do you then deploy it, right? So the conversation becomes much more strategic on how do you design it, how do you deploy it, how do you move forward, how do you go further with your business? And it's not just that strategic conversation, but it still is also on the servicing side. Client service is key, it's very important to us, and we rate that very highly in our overall proposition, because in general, if people have 2, 3, 4 bad experiences, they actually will look for another provider. So client experience, and a really good client experience, and therefore client service, is important to us.
Well, Ad, I could ask you a dozen more questions, but I can, conscious of the event getting busier behind us, so I'll let you get back to it. But thank you so much for coming in and sharing your insights today.
Thank you.